Mr. President, Your Excellency, the Senate President, distinguished Senator Goodwill Akpabio, Your Excellency, the Deputy President of the Senate, distinguished Senator Ibrahim Jibrin, distinguished leadership of these hallowed chambers, other distinguished senators here present, ladies and gentlemen. I am indeed humbled to be here before you, standing as the nominee for the position of Governor of the Central Bank. My sincere appreciation goes to the President and Commander-in-Chief of the Armed Forces of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, His Excellency Bola Ahmed Tinubu. The gravity of this moment is not in any way lost on me. I do not take lightly the confidence that has been reposed in me by the President through this nomination. I would also like to use this opportunity to recognize. Let me respectfully introduce myself. My name is Olayemi Cardoso. I was born 10th of July, 1957. I'm an indigene of Lagos State. I'm born to parents of Brazilian descent in Popo Aguda. I attended primary school at Corona School, Ikoyi, and I went on to do my secondary school at St. Gregory's College, Lagos. I then went on for further studies to Birmingham. I attended the University of Aston, where I graduated with a bachelor's degree in managerial and administrative studies, specializing in finance and accounting. My further education was at the Harvard Kennedy School, where I earned a master's degree in public administration, and I specialized in finance and economics. I also am a holder of a doctorate degree in business administration, honoris causa, from my alma mater, Aston University. My professional career began in the vibrant city of London, working with Howard Tilley & Co. Chartered Accountants. Little did I know that this would be the first step in a lifelong journey that would take me to places I could only dream of. In 1981, Citibank, one of the world's largest financial institutions, recognized my potential and invited me to join their ranks. I attended the credit training program in Athens, Greece, after which I was transferred to other locations, particularly Citibank branch in Ivory Coast, Abidjan. At that time, that was the West Africa regional office for Citibank. And of course, I focused on debt restructuring and other places where Citibank did not have a presence in West Africa, which was most places, including Nigeria. In 1981, I returned to my home country and I took up an appointment with Chase Merchant Bank, an affiliate of Chase Manhattan Bank, which I know you all know. And then in 1984, I joined Citibank when they in fact decided that they were going to set up an enterprise in Nigeria. And I was at the time one of the founding staff of Citibank in Nigeria, then Nigerian International Bank. During this period of time, if you look at my resume, you'll see I did various diversified experiences. Subsequent to that, in addition to other colleagues, co-founded Citizens International Bank, and I served there for 8 years as an executive director. In 1999, I was presented with a unique opportunity when Lagos State Government approached me as an inaugural Commissioner for Economic Planning and Budget. In this capacity, I played a pivotal role in the reforms. And in actual fact, I ensured that much of the policy thrusts of the administration were not only drawn up, but were rigorously implemented. One of my achievements at the time was, of course, setting up a brand new ministry from scratch, which had no antecedent, and ensuring that the economy of Lagos was managed through this particular vehicle. I'm very happy that how many years later, virtually every single subnational entity within the Federation of Nigeria has copied this model. One of the groundbreaking efforts we had in this regard was the Engbeti Lagos Economic Summit. And I say this with all pride because till today, 20 years later, that particular entity as a major entity to articulate change within our society, and in particular, to bring together the public, private, and other entities within, and other interests within Lagos, continues to thrive. In 2005, I returned to the private sector, where I continued to bridge the worlds of finance, governance, and public policy. Collaboration with esteemed international organizations such as the World Bank, the Ford Foundation, and the UN Habitat became a hallmark of this phase in my journey. From 2010 to 2022, I had the privilege of serving as chairman of Citibank, where I dedicated myself to enhancing both the financial and non-financial aspects of the institution. A highlight of my tenure was championing diversity and gender inclusion, resulting in a remarkable increase in the representation of women on the board from a mere 8% to an improved 50%. In September 2022, and I'll conclude with this, several months after stepping down as chairman of Citibank, I was given the Citibank Global Award for Leadership and Ingenuity. This was the first time such an award had been given to anybody in sub-Saharan Africa. And it was given in recognition of, I quote, "for outstanding contributions to business and society over the course of a distinguished career within Nigeria's private, public, and not-for-profit sectors, as well as academia, and for fostering the country's financial stability and development." May I please now say a few words of what I consider to be a preliminary assessment of the challenges facing the Central Bank of Nigeria as we hopefully commence the process of giving our input into this very, very important entity. The President, in his inaugural address, conveyed the need to clean up the CBN and its monetary policies. As a first step in this task, the President appointed a special investigator in the affairs of CBN whose work is currently underway. Permit me, Mr. President, to use these preliminary remarks to outline the challenges facing the central bank, introduce high-level proposals to address reformation challenges, and discuss the roles of a refocused central bank in supporting the economic agenda of the President Tinubu administration. What are the current challenges the Central Bank of Nigeria faces? They are numerous. In assessing these challenges, the Central Bank of Nigeria, preliminary questions are being raised on how these challenges may be addressed, and I think that is what we are all interested in. One, we identify the issue of corporate governance, and how will issues of corporate governance be addressed. We also identify the diminished institutional autonomy. How can public and financial system stakeholders' confidence be restored in the autonomy and integrity of CBN? Can the central bank look to adopting a worldwide code for institutional autonomy? We also look at the need to refocus CBN back to its core functions. What needs to be in place to revert to evidence-based monetary policies? Discontinuation of unorthodox monetary policies and foreign currency management. Unorthodox use of ways and means spending. What controls can CBN develop to enforce statutory limits in ways and means? Of course, backlog of foreign exchange demand and how this can be met, and the lack of clarity in fiscal and monetary relationships. Where are the delineations and what should be the limits in CBN's fiscal interventions? Of course, very importantly, the issue of inflation and price stability, a major function of the central bank. What are the causes and what is CBN's proposed response to address inflation and price stability issues? We're also interested in access to foreign exchange markets and foreign exchange price discovery. What mechanisms exist to address foreign exchange rate unification under a willing buyer and seller arrangement? What would be the role of the central bank in the foreign exchange market going forward? Is there need for interest rate realignment to money supply, inflation, and market realities? Of course, very important to us, current financial system stability. Clearly, these problems statements need an in-depth review by us and the central bank leadership to determine which mechanisms are currently working, what can be tweaked or dispensed with, and what new tools need to be introduced. Important to all of us, of course, is the element of economic growth, because please, can you hear? Okay. What is important to all of us is the element of economic growth. And our feeling is that in identifying the important issues with economic growth, we believe very strongly that size matters. Size matters. The economic policy proposals of the administration identify a set of fiscal reforms and growth targets that will achieve a $1 trillion GDP within 8 years. In reviewing selected growth targets that will achieve $1 trillion GDP, in reviewing selected BRICS and Mint countries with large populations and similar development characteristics as Nigeria, it is interesting to identify macroeconomic indices that points to Nigeria's economic trajectory, given faithful implementation of the proposed economic reforms. In economies bigger than $1 trillion, these indices include moderate inflation, sizable foreign reserves, and capacity to quickly rebound from cyclical economic downturns. In other words, to the extent that the administration has defined such a bold target for the country, it is our feeling that achieving this is very critical to achieve the stability that we require in various economic indices. It's not the only thing, but it is very important. So we believe that this is the right way to go, and we endorse this. Given this, a refocused CBN will better serve the country through monetary policy interventions and advisory roles that sustain implementation of the administration's fiscal proposals. Advisory role of CBN. Much has been made of past CBN forays into development financing, such that the lines between monetary policy and fiscal intervention have become blurred. In refocusing CBN to its core mandate, there is need to pull the CBN back from direct development finance interventions into more limited advisory roles that support economic growth. These advisory roles could include, for instance, 1, act as a catalyst in propagation of specialized institutions and financial products that support emerging sectors of the economy, facilitate new regulatory frameworks to unlock dormant capital, accelerate access to consumer credit, and expand financial inclusions to the masses.
As Governor and Deputy Governors of the Central Bank of Nigeria. The nominees answered questions from distinguished senators on CBN matters and other matters and a number of topical issues. Thereafter, the committee approved the nominations of Olayemi Cardoso for the position of Governor of Central Bank of Nigeria, Madam Emefiele, Mohammed Abdullahi Datijo, Philip Ikazo, and Bala Bello as Deputy Governors, as Governor and Deputy Governors of Central Bank, respectively. Is this a true reflection of what transpired in the Committee of the Whole? Yes. Now, will the Senate confirm the nomination of Olayemi Cardoso for appointment as Governor of the Central Bank of Nigeria? Those in favor say aye. Aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. The nomination of Olayemi Cardoso is hereby confirmed as Governor of the Central Bank of Nigeria. Will the Senate confirm the nomination of Madam Emefiele for appointment as Deputy Governor of the Central Bank of Nigeria? Those in favor say aye. Aye. And those against say nay. The ayes have it. The nomination of Madam Emefiele is hereby confirmed as Deputy Governor of the Central Bank of Nigeria. Will the Senate confirm the nomination of Mohammed Abdullahi Datijo for appointment as Deputy Governor of the Central Bank of Nigeria? Those in favor say aye. Aye. And those against say nay. The ayes have it. The nomination of Mohammed Abdullahi Datijo is hereby confirmed as Deputy Governor of the Central Bank of Nigeria. Will the Senate confirm the appointment of Philip Ikazo for appointment as Deputy Governor of the Central Bank of Nigeria? Those in favor say aye. Aye. And those against say nay. The ayes have it. The nomination of Philip Ikazo is hereby confirmed as Deputy Governor of the Central Bank of Nigeria. Will the Senate confirm the nomination of Bala Bello for appointment as Deputy Governor of the Central Bank of Nigeria? Those in favor say aye. Aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. The nomination of Bala Bello is hereby confirmed as Deputy Governor of the Central Bank of Nigeria. Senate Leader.